Good afternoon, you lovely people. Once again, welcome to the official topic talk on this Wednesday afternoon. Just got another little video that I'd like to play for you. It's entitled No Guarantee Child Grooming Scandal in Telford Won't Happen Again, according to the PCC. West Mercia Police and Crime Commissioner has admitted he can't guarantee that the scandal of child grooming in Telford won't happen again. The other day, an independent inquiry found that more than 1,000 women and girls had been sexually exploited in the town over a period of more than 30 years. Now, in this clip I'm going to show you a victim survivor, Samantha Smith, has waived her rights to anonymity so that she can tell her story, which I think is very brave. It's going to take some survivors, they never come back from the haunts of the abuse that they've had to endure. And for the Police and Crime Commissioner to admit that he can't guarantee that the scandal will ever happen again, he doesn't have much faith in the police force to help these survivors. It's not too positive, is it, people? That don't sound too positive, to say the least. Well, John Campion said, changes in society and the growth of the internet have changed how crimes are committed. Survivors are now pushing for all the reports, recommendations to be implemented. And one of those, Samantha Smith, is about to tell her story, but she's also pushing for the police basically to do a lot more to stop this from happening again. I'm just going to play this little clip for you now. And you'll just get to see the points of views from a survivor. I do believe her abuse started when she was 5 years old. So let me just play this clip for you.
From the age of 5, Samantha was groomed. Repeatedly raped until she was 15, she's one of around 1,000 survivors of sexual abuse and exploitation in Telford and Wrekin. She's agreed to speak to us on camera about the findings in yesterday's report.
When I first read it, I got quite emotional. It felt as though our story was being laid bare on the page. It felt as though everything we had said was finally being validated after years of being blamed and shamed and silenced.
The inquiry found damning failings within West Mercia Police and Telford and Wrekin Council over a 30-year period. Abuse was ignored, victims were blamed, and people were discouraged from speaking out. This report is the only vindication Samantha has ever had.
Nobody has ever been jailed for what happened to you. Nobody's ever faced any sort of justice.
No, like I said, a stern conversation with one of my abusers was the extent of the punitive measures taken against them. I still worry that I'm going to see them in the street one day, that I'm going to bump into them while I'm doing my grocery shopping. Every back of a person's head that I see that could match one of my abusers makes my heart stop and my throat clag up. It makes me fear that that I'll never truly escape.
West Mercia Police has officially apologised to survivors and says it's made vast improvements on how it handles these crimes. But the force's Police and Crime Commissioner wouldn't promise a similar scandal couldn't happen again.
I'm incredibly sorry that this has happened. I'm sorry that not only victims but their friends and families have let down. I'm sorry that today I can't guarantee that it wouldn't happen again, because not only is society changing, crimes within our society are changing. We saw through lockdown society change, and indeed the way people were exploited changed with more use of online and others. I want to make sure West Mercia Police is match fit, not only for the issues now but also the issues into the future.
The Police and Crime Commissioner told us that he can't promise this won't happen again. How do you feel about that?
I think honestly, as hard as that is to hear, as hard as it is to hear that young girls could still be groomed, raped, exploited and abused and potentially even murdered by adult men, I would prefer the candour that the Police and Crime Commissioner has shown, because frankly the only way that change is going to happen is if those at the very top accept responsibility for the failings of the past and the failings of the present.
The council has apologised and says it's working day in and day out to provide support, and that significant improvements have been made in recent years. But Samantha fears she won't be the last survivor with a story to tell. Lewis Warner, ITV News, Telford.
Now, I do hope that the police do start taking it serious and they do start implementing a lot of changes, so that this sort of crimes can be combated. But when you've got a when you've got the crime commissioner saying that he can't guarantee it won't happen again, he should really be looking for some positive words, because it needs to be stopped. It is continuing, and to think that the police force could have stopped this 30 years ago if they only didn't brush it all under the carpet. And quite frankly with you, I don't think that the police and the authorities just saying the words "I'm sorry" and apologising, that's nowhere near compensation for what these victims and survivors have gone through. I mean, 1,000 young girls, and they were gambling, they were playing the game of roulette, the police, because I would sooner be called a racist and protect 1,000 girls from getting groomed than to just sit back and leave the reports in the vault for 30 years, and to just what they basically doing, what the police basically done, is victim shamed the survivors, because they were saying and calling them prostitutes, and they never took into consideration for one moment the age of these girls. You can't consent at any age below 16, and they should have upheld the law. So what if they were going to get called racist? Wouldn't you sooner be called a racist and protect 1,000 girls than to do nothing and let the 1,000 young girls get raped and groomed and trafficked around the UK? See, I can't believe that for one moment, you know, that the police didn't want to be seen as racist. I mean, they're there to protect the public. They would have got charges, and the perpetrators would have been in jail. So there is no space for the small minority of the Muslim community that are committing these hideous crimes. They wouldn't have no space to call the police racist. I just hope that more's going to be done now to combat and stop this epidemic from spreading any further than what it has already over the past 30 years. And the police and the authorities, you know, they need to do a lot more than just say the word sorry to each and every one of the survivors of the grooming gangs in Telford. Things need to be implemented. Every case needs to be followed up. Places of where it was happening, meeting points to where the girls are being picked up and dropped off from. All of this now needs to be looked into, so the public can at least see that the police are taking it serious. It's gone on for way too long now, and it's creating too many victims. It's not a victimless crime. And I'd only have questions to the Chief Inspector at the time, 25 to 30 years ago, who decided that it was best to be left in a vault and not investigated. I'd love to know what was going through his mind. And as for the people that were involved in saying that there never ever needed to be an inquiry into the grooming gangs in Telford, they need to be looked at more closely too. You can't have an authority figure whose job it is to protect the public, but yet they're picky and choosy at what they want to do. So what? Like I say, if the police are going to be called racist, I would sooner be called a racist and protect 1,000 girls, and to take the rap at the end of the tunnel. But there was no rap to receive at the end of the tunnel, because the police knew who it was, what they were doing, but they just chose not to do anything about it. It's a disgrace. Now let's see over the next 24 months what implementations that the police and authorities have put in place to protect the young girls that are still going through it now. Let's see if there's going to be any more convictions through the courts. And I'm proud that this one victim has waived anonymity so she can tell her story. And it just adds to what the police already knew, but they decided not to act upon it. Right, I'm gonna wrap it up there, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, like the videos, and hit the notification bell, because when I go live or when I produce content and put the content out there, you'll get a notification and I'll get a view. Thanks for listening, guys.